Maybe you should go and do some contemplating.
Right reason, right reason. Can't put a girl for all the right reasons. Right reasons, right reasons. Reason for all four seasons.
I'm the Bachelorette, and I'm rapping to you poolside. Here to find.
All right, light it up and blaze it, baby.
Hi, this is Rachel McElroy.
Hi, this is Griffin McElroy.
And this is Rose Buddies.
It's a podcast about... I don't know what it's about right now. We're kind of doing some soul searching.
It's still about the Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise family of products.
Only we don't have those right now officially, kind of. The American versions, which is the only official stuff I recognize.
We have the version with the extra U's.
We have, yes, where they spell flavor.
Where Bachelorette has just inexplicably U's.
Yeah, Bachelor. We are... Boy, Griffin and Rachel, you sound so crisp. There's a good reason for that. We're recording in the Sawbones television studios.
We are. We are in Huntington, West Virginia right now together.
Yeah, we're making a TV show for My Brother, and Me. And,
well, Griffin is.
well, you were on it.
I was on it yesterday.
And Rachel's in town to visit for a bit, which is very exciting. I'm glad you're
Yeah, me too.
here. How did you like being on TV, and how did it compare to the world of podcasting, at which you are a master?
Well, so one thing, and this is probably not inappropriate to share, but there is a lot of improvisation on Griffin's show.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of yes-anding.
And so when Griffin said, "Do you want to come be on the show?" I thought I would just stand there. And then occasionally Griffin would turn to me and say something, and I would look at him blankly like, you didn't tell
You
me
didn't
I
tell
would.
me to turn it on.
I'd be turning on
You
my
turned it on, though. You had
my
us,
Chicago Improv Olympic skills.
you had us all rolling
Oh, well, thank
with your
you.
goof.
Singular.
Well, there wasn't much time. So we watched The Bachelorette Canada.
We did. We found, and I didn't share the link because I wasn't confident that it would stay there, but we found a version on YouTube.
We have to talk about this because I don't know if
Yes.
we can do more Bachelorette Canada because it's not. We were so confident that it was going to be streaming everywhere, and then it's not streaming.
It is
everywhere.
not. And I know that there are ways around it, but we do not officially endorse those as a podcast.
Yeah, you can like hide your VPN or something like that, but like that's a crazy thing to ask all of our listeners to do to follow along with our dumb book club. So I don't know. We're gonna have to do. It's a really crazy time for us right now, so it's like hard for us to shop around for TV shows and like. Try to fix this thing as
and
we
at
do
this
it.
point, we've received a lot of suggestions, and we have a lot to consider.
Yeah, so we're thinking about it. Although I will say this, I very much enjoyed The Bachelorette Canada.
I did. It was definitely a unique experience from what we're used to.
Yeah.
Should I introduce our Bachelorette?
I think the world's ready to meet our Bachelorette.
Her name is Jasmine. I kept forgetting it immediately.
Is this Jennifer? Rachel said in her voice. This is Jennifer, right? Jennifer? She doesn't look like a Jennifer, babe. She looks like she's the type of woman who only looks like a Jasmine.
Yeah?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You know exactly what it means.
Okay. So Jasmine is from Ontario, Kenora, Ontario, to be specific.
That's my favorite town in Ontario. This is probably the first thing that is you're going to notice differently about our commentary on The Bachelorette Canada is, man, I don't know anything about Canadian sort of geography.
Me neither.
Can you name, how many provinces can you name? Are they provinces or providences? See, that's even the worst. That's the bad.
I think
that's
it's
a bad,
province.
How many provinces can you name? You know some of them.
I maybe do. I'm get confused as to what is a province and what is a city.
Just start blasting them off.
Well, we know Ontario. And then see, I want to name cities.
Well, don't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. Because, like, I know that there are cities like Toronto and Vancouver and Winnipeg, but I do not know they're associated.
There's 10. There's 10 provinces.
Oh.
You've got one. What about the one in the east where all the French Canadians live?
Montreal? That's a city.
That's a city, though.
What's a province? Quebec.
Quebec
Okay.
is one.
Okay.
What about the one that's 2 words and...
You were looking at a list, by the way,
I knew some of them.
which is kind of unfair.
What about the one that's 2 words and one of it is like in the UK and the other one is like in South America? British Columbia.
British Columbia.
Problems is, let's do this. Is if we keep doing this,
This is not a
this
fun
is a
game.
bad game for both of us. But this could be like a fun thing that we do for Bachelorette Canada. Is we endeavor to both learn and teach things about Canada as we go. So just like the 10 provinces, it's just Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Manitoba, British Columbia, Prince Edward Island, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Newfoundland, and Labrador. That's a combo at the end.
I was going to say Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan's an easy one to remember.
So, fun fact about me.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school, my parents and I took a trip to Toronto.
How was that?
We went to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
That's very on brand for your family.
Yes. My family is a big hockey family. None of us play hockey.
No, never.
But we enjoy the sport.
Perish the thought.
And I remember Toronto being very clean.
Most Canadian cities are.
And when I was in middle school, I was a very picky eater. We went to all these nice restaurants, and I consistently ordered a chicken Caesar salad.
Jesus, baby.
Everywhere we went.
Yeah, Canada. I'm a big Canada fan. I was very excited for this program.
Yeah,
for that
you went to
very reason.
Vancouver.
Went to Vancouver. I'm dying to get back there, but also like just sort of in general, like I like Canadian shit.
And we have a lot of Canadian Rose Buddies listeners.
We do, and they're all bragging about how easily they can watch Bachelorette
No,
Canada.
they finally have the upper hand.
All right, let's start drilling
Okay,
in.
Jasmine. Jasmine is 27.
Yes.
She knows how to skate naturally.
Yeah, she does.
I'm pretty sure that is required.
I think there's just something about Canadian leg bones that just like you come out the womb and it's like, give me some blades.
We see her doing a little figure skating. She is a hairstylist.
She eats shit while figure skating in a way, like, I feel like that's sort of it's a double standard, isn't it? Because in every Bachelorette sort of intro sequence, the Bachelorette gonna fall over. That
I
is
know.
the
Like,
law.
she'll be on roller skates and like, whoops.
Yeah, I think Des probably had, up to this point, the best. Oh, no, it was Caitlin had the best shit eating when she was just roller skating. She fell straight on her ass on concrete. That was a rough one. Jasmine just takes a fucking header on the ice and like lands directly sternum first on the ice, and it looked really bad. Doesn't happen to the boys though, does it? The boys is just I'm shirtless.
No, that's true. Like,
boys never
I'm
fall
jogging. I'm doing push-ups.
Let Nick Viall fall the fuck over, please.
God, I wonder what his intro package is going to be.
I mean, it can just be a fucking mashup of the 14 times he's been on the television.
It's just him taking vitamins and covering his grays. So she describes herself as kind of goofy and kind of a free spirit. We get to see her on a bike in a park.
Wearing a very Annie Hall type getup, I would say. Just big pants, you know?
Okay.
Big pants and a
Not
fun
like
hat.
a button down and suspenders, though.
No, but just, Footloose fancy free.
And then we see her having wine with her mom and her sister.
Who looks exactly like her. It's freaky.
Her sister does look exactly like her. And then we hear about her dad who passed away when she was 12, which was very hard on her and their family. And then she starts using Bachelorette words, which was comforting. She talks about the journey she's about to go on.
She has a tattoo on her hand that says explore.
Yes. It's not on her hand, though. I think it's like on her arm or something. We find out about that later.
I mean, I found out about it when I saw it on our body. She explains
She talks about it later, yeah. And then she gets counsel from a former Bachelorette, and we were really excited because we were like, who's it going to be? I thought maybe Caitlin.
I was hoping for Kate because she's a
Caitlin
she's
is,
a Canadian.
Canadian. But it was Jillian Harris. Who
Is she from Canada?
I guess so. That seems right.
Canada's one of those words that, like, 9 times out of 10, you can really stick the landing on pronouncing it. But if it sneaks its way into the middle of a sentence, I will just go any which way with it. Canada. I do that a lot. Canada.
Is that how they say it in West Virginia?
Yeah, it's Canada.
And Jillian Harris, who did
What's
not.
her deal?
Jillian.
That was
Jillian
Ed,
chose
right?
Ed.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. And that didn't work
They
out,
did not
obviously. Then
make
why
it.
the fuck is she giving pointers?
I know.
That's the thing. If you aren't still married, list of people who can give out pointers on these little sequences where they roll up on The Bachelor, Bachelorette. People who can give out pointers. Catherine and Sean. I guess
Trista and Ryan.
Fucking, I guess Lace and
Jason and Molly.
Not Lace. Jade and Tanner.
They let Caitlyn, as long as Caitlyn stays engaged, she gets to come out.
And that's just a fucking doomsday clock, isn't it? That one's just a rattling down. And now I guess we have three more. Three,
Bachelor in Paradise
Bachelor in Paradise couples. We have a murder of Bachelor in Paradise couples.
Yeah, well,
off the balance.
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
We'll see how it goes.
And then it's time for Jasmine to go. At this point, this was you acknowledge that the clip moves a little bit faster on this show.
Yeah, we got to limo exits. First of all, the episode we watched, the total runtime without commercials was 1 hour and 8 minutes, which is like, oh, fresh fucking spring breeze.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I don't know how maybe it was an hour and a half total with commercials, but we
still get the dude
we
bios.
get the dude bios, but we got to limo exits by like minute 10. It was fucking trucking along, which is good. Like there was, and I think a lot of that is just because this is the first season of the Bachelorette Canada. So like one really interesting thing about this episode is there was no history to any of this. Like when the dude stepped out of the limo, they saw a woman they'd literally never seen before because the show hasn't happened before. This only happens one time.
I know. Typically, they'll get out of the limo in the U.S. version and be like,
Megan.
"Oh, I was hoping, that it was Emily, and I was so glad," or I was hoping it was, whatever her name was. Gosh, I can't remember who was the one that dueled Caitlyn for Bachelorette.
Oh God, I could never remember her name during the season. Even it ain't gonna come to me.
But yeah, and so the guys arrive and they're just happy to see an attractive woman in a nice dress.
Yeah. Let's meet some of these boys, though, because some of these boys were very soft and nice.
Yeah, for the most part, the men represented actual professions, which is not something
unusual for it. Was
you typically see.
Like at logger, plumber man. Contributor to society, not like, oh, I run social media for an oil manufacturing plant.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have worked like Daniel, where he just came out and said Canadian.
Yeah. No hockey player, no professional hockey players.
Well, that we know of. Maybe they don't even introduce that part of themselves because it's like 90%.
Yeah.
So there's Mikkel, who is a auto and aviation engineer.
Things he likes to do. He likes to speak very romantically about helicopter machines.
Yeah, he works on helicopters.
He calls it like the most beautiful machine in the world. It's like, dude, get a fucking room.
I don't know if they do helicopter dates, but I hope he gets to go on and talk all about it.
He makes it that far. He loves helicopter blades and he loves kneeling in the forest for no reason.
There's Thomas, who is a international fashion model. It's important to point out
international
that he is an international fashion model.
Which we were joking about, and Justin or Sydney mentioned, like, well, that does sound better than Canadian fashion model.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just get around Canada.
Yeah, he says that he likes to go deeper in relationships. And while we're learning this about him, he's doing yoga in a room. So we get a sense that he's an international fashion model, but he's also very spiritual.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that about most international fashion models.
We meet Benoit.
I love Benoit's name and look and whole thing.
He's a maitre d', and that he said that he has been betrayed in the past by a long-term girlfriend, and he's very positive and wants to be very positive.
Is it too late to change our baby name to Benoit?
Benoit.
This is that's probably a little...
Benoit McElroy.
That's probably a little much, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Like, oh, is one of you French or has French ancestry? And we would...
And I'll say, non.
Drew seems to be a villain.
Rod, yeah.
Yeah, he is a VP in medical sales. They show him in what I call a deal montage, where he is meeting with men, and he's like, "Do we have a deal?" And he shakes hands to really suggest, like, I'm a business guy and I do business things. And then they also show him like fake picking up a lady in the park, just to show that he is competent with the women.
Gets what he wants.
Yeah, he appears very confident.
He's the Canadian Gordon Gekko from the movie Let's Make a Deal.
There you go. Let's just leave that in and wait for the corrections to roll in.
I've not seen the movie with Gordon Gekko in it. For Love of Money. Well, what the fuck was that movie? Wall Street Blues. Wall Street Blues.
It's a lot more saxophone.
I'm Gordon Gekko, and I love money and doing deals and stuff, but it feels like something's missing.
Cut to him with like a hat on in a jazz club. Mm-hmm. And we've got Kyle. Kyle is very tall.
Kyle is 1,900 feet tall.
Kyle is a complex man. He is very tall and fit, and we get to see him doing things that involve him both being tall and fit. And then we get to meet his cats, which are Miss Moneypenny and Thundercuddles.
That's a whole lot of name.
And we see him talking about how he wants a woman that appreciates cats.
He's also technically a kaiju from a Japanese horror movie. He is
very tall.
He escaped the set of Pacific Rim.
He was giving his stats at the beginning.
We missed it.
I want to say like 6'5" or something.
I don't want to know. No way, dude. 6'5"?
You think he's bigger than that?
I'm 6'5".
That is not true, Griffin.
I'm basically 6'5".
No.
This guy's like 7'7". Easy.
Well, I mean, he looks enormous next to the Bachelorette, but Bachelorettes are characteristically tiny.
She's 6'1". That's what's fucked up.
Okay. We meet Mike. Mike is a firefighter. He has been in a calendar. His mother also passed away when he was young, and he's gotten very involved in charity work since then.
I'm a big.
He seems like a real solid
fan.
guy. And then I'm just going to quickly go through the other ones. You can interject as necessary.
Okay.
Kevin looks like a hockey player, and then we find out later he was a hockey player. I felt really validated by that.
You really crushed it.
But he is also ex-Navy / firefighter and gives the Bachelorette a high five when he comes out.
That's a good look. Oh, he was the first one out, wasn't he?
Yeah, so this is limo exits now.
I see.
So we find out there's 20 guys total.
Which is not as many as...
Not as many.
Both Bachelor and Bachelorette usually get like 27 to 30.
It's the exchange rate, right? So... So 27.
Well, no, it would go the opposite way because it takes more Canadian dollars to equal a U.S. dollar. So we should have had like 36 boys.
So Jasmine starts meeting the guys at the limo. The music we noticed for limo exits is not as high quality as American.
No, but the production value on like all the intro sequences were way better.
Yeah, the videos for the boys were real nice.
I think it might just be the boys are better. Like I think this is compared to the fucking carnival that we just were forced to watch, this was a good batch of boys.
You know what I'll say, and we can talk more about this later, but the Bachelorette Canada really treats, from what I can see, treats their contestants with respect, you know?
Well,
they treat them as people.
Well, I just don't think they're as fucking clown shoes. Like, there's just not as much material for them to work with.
I know.
If there had been the parade of shitheads that were on JoJo's season, I think they could probably give them a worse edit. But I think it's
you can tell that they didn't scour like bars for very inebriated men to bring them on the show.
No, just one, and even he wasn't that bad. This episode's like shit show drunk guy was like not even that bad.
I know he was pretty harmless. We meet Wale. Who very enthusiastically says "wow" when he sees her.
Wow. Okay, this was the only thing I think about the episode that like really put me off is like there was a lot because they didn't
know what she was going to look like.
Here's the thing. Yes, they didn't know what she was going to look like, and because she was not a past contestant on the show, they didn't have when you're stepping out of the limo, it's all about having arrows in your quiver, right? It's all about having like some things you know that you can say.
Yeah.
And those things include, wow, you look stunning today.
Yeah.
And a big one is, I was really hoping it was going to be you. Without that arrow in your quiver, all they were left with was like every boy, not every boy, most of the boys that got out would just like, from the whole walk from the limo to the woman, would just be like, wow, oh yeah, wow. Like they just like fucking came downstairs on Christmas morning and there's like a cool new Hot Wheels that got left out for them. And like I can't imagine being Jasmine in this situation.
I know,
and just having
it was
like
uncomfortable.
having like 14 guys come at her just for like 40 seconds. Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, nut. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable to watch. So we meet David, who we know is a musician, but at this time he does not do anything musical. He just says that she looks stunning. And anytime I heard like a familiar word, I wrote it down.
I felt comfortable, in those moments.
Drew introduces himself. Drew, as you remember, is the VP of medical sales. And I noticed that guys don't really have a lot of gimmicks this season. I mean, there are definitely some gimmicks, but nobody shows up driving a cupcake. Nobody shows up on horseback or on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But Drew comes out and he says, I just want you to know I'm truly here to find love. So remember that when the rose ceremony comes. It's like, dude,
right,
don't
dude.
make a deal out here,
outta here,
on the
Drew.
wet cement. Benoit speaks French, and she's actually able to understand a little bit. She's not fluent, but it was a very sweet moment.
Yeah.
Mike gives the driver some money to drive away, which was cute.
That was a fun move. Actually, there were. Okay, I will say this: a lot of the limo exits weren't as memorable. There were some fucking big plays here that I would love to see picked up in the American counterpart.
Andrew gets out of the limo, and he does that kind of like 1980s music video thing where he like bites his fist, like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
look at that one,"
Yeah.
and has a gift for her. And then Taylor also has a gift, but it is a pen that he stole from the hotel.
That's fun. Not quite as big as the lamp.
Kind of like
but
Lamp
okay.
Guy. Yeah. Kyle comes out and knows that he is very tall, and so he gets on one knee and says that he can, adjust for her needs.
He says that he can uppercut the sun.
And let's see. Kevin is a deckhand.
Oh, sweet Kevin. Okay, so Kevin comes out with an ukulele and starts playing a song that he wrote. That
He also
gives her the lyrics
he hands
for.
her the lyrics, like,
Which-
"Hey, I don't want you to miss any part of this. Here
Yeah.
are the lyrics written down."
So he plays her a song, and like in the grand pantheon of Bachelor, Bachelorette original songs written for people, it was not the best or the worst. I think it would rank somewhere squarely in the middle. But the dude's whole demeanor made it seem like he was on like straight opium, like the whole time. Like, hey, what's up?
Well, he was sick. We find out later.
That's the thing. That was the
He has food poisoning.
He has very, very bad food poisoning. Which, I'm glad he revealed that, or else I would have thought this guy was a complete lunatic. Because it was seriously like he steps out the limo, strumming an uku, and just like walks up to her. He's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Kevin, and I just have a song for you, and no big deal. I'll see you inside." And he goes inside. He's like, "I just shit my guts out. Please God, somebody kill me."
It looks like he's going to pass out on camera. Like he's covered in sweat. He can't focus his eyes for very long.
And can I say something, Kevin? When I got here to Huntington to start shooting the TV show,
Yeah,
I had like norovirus, and I was so worried I was going to have to shoot a TV show while extremely sick. And it was seriously like, that's the stuff that I am fucking terrified of.
Yeah.
Like having to do like a live show or something like that while sick. Holy shit. Kevin, my boy, I feel so bad for you. But you did okay. He held his own.
He did.
He's got that strong deckhand constitution.
Deckhand.
That's a good job,
How
man.
many people do you think, let's say on this continent, are deckhands?
I mean, probably a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of boats.
I guess I grew up landlocked, so the
Yeah.
idea, the concept of being a deckhand was not one I considered.
You get up to like Rhode Island or something, or like the coastal areas of Massachusetts or Maine. Like, I think most people are fucking deckhands.
I guess so. We meet Chris. Chris is an inventor, and he made this little rose in a box that lights on fire.
Not really an invention so much.
Yeah.
You just made a little bomb. What you invented, Christopher, if I may sort of do a diagnosis of your limo exit, you invented a bomb, Chris.
He hands the burning rose to her, and then you can see this moment where she's like, and she tries to blow it out. It won't go out.
No.
And it's a little bit scary.
It won't go out. It's alchemist's fire. You've created dark arcane arts, Christopher. You've gone too far.
We meet, and this may be more common in Canada, I'm not sure, but it is a man named Dana. And his big stunt, and is a literal stunt, he stands on the car and then does a backflip off of it.
There's a lot of backflips. A lot of the BPM or the backflips per minute of this episode were surprisingly high.
Yeah, it's high for the series. We meet Tony. Tony is a cowboy. We meet Eddie, and Eddie's occupation is Canada's crush.
Okay, and we need to Eddie. You didn't explain what that is or means.
I don't know what that means.
But this motherfucker gets out with a little envelope and a telescope, drops that telescope. He's like, look at this shit. She looks up and she says, that's a star. He says, that's a star in the Big Dipper. It's named after you now. Hands her the envelope. How did you know the name when you bought the star? Because you didn't know who the woman was going to be. Eddie. Also, that's a crazy
Well, and
gift.
there's some lag time while he assembles the telescope, too. I
have one of those.
It's a long gimmick.
I have a star named after me, and I don't know how that works. Because could you and I just be like, okay, we have our own star naming agency now. Send me $500.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
I never saw the appeal of that.
The only way I would want it is if I could get the sun. That's the only star I'm interested in. That's the only star any of us are really interested in, if you think about it.
And then you would have the sun and the moon, because you'd be able to give women their monthlies.
Yes.
And then the sun does what?
I'll be able to give boys their sunburns.
Just boys.
Yes.
How do women get sunburns?
From the moon. It's a lot. I know. I'm revealing a lot about my practices.
I'm having a hard
right now.
time processing that.
Yeah. I would only want the sun or the North Star. Would be okay consolation prize, but
Okay.
I would obviously be disappointed if I got the North Star. I obviously want to be the sun, and my face could appear in it like Teletubbies. Hello, Rachel.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be cute?
that would be cute.
Yeah,
you
but
got
then-
you got a good face for the sun.
Thank you, baby. It's very nice to say.
Let me just knock out the rest of these dudes.
Yeah, just kill the boys.
We meet Scott, who is a carpenter and makes her a box. We meet Seth, who takes her picture and holds on to it for later.
I like the practice of making her a container that she can put all the other shitty presents inside.
That's a good point.
I would just bring a Bachelorette a garbage bag and just be like, here, these boys are going to bring you cookies and lyrics sheets and a fucking bomb, and you can just dispose of all those here, and I'll come get it later.
We meet Mikkel, who, in a very satisfying way, meets her, gives her a kiss, and then comes inside
Kiss on the cheek, a little peck on the cheek.
and tells the guys, she's something, eh?
Really good.
That's
Thank you,
real-
Mikhail.
thank
That
you.
was just what I needed.
We meet Ross, who is a welder, and he writes her a haiku. He's very proud of this haiku, and it is not good.
Was it? I was trying to follow along. Was it
I didn't count.
575? Damn.
I didn't count.
Did you study haiku when you were doing like poetry stuff?
I can't imagine that anybody studies haiku.
Well, I know, but
mean,
you like studied poetry and shit.
Yeah, we read some haikus, and you know how to make one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't study. I mean, maybe if you study like Asian poetry, you see a little more of that. But I did not.
would fucking hope so.
I did
would
not.
hope there's not an Asian poetry like course that you take that's like we're just going to skip haiku altogether.
I spent a lot more time with Shakespeare sonnets
Okay.
than haiku. Thomas comes out and gives her a postcard from Athens and makes the point to say that he was just in Athens last week.
He said he wrote it on the plane, and it's like, about what? You don't know, Jasmine.
Yeah, he said he was going to read it to her later if she was interested.
Okay.
JP makes probably the most gimmicky exit. He is a, quote, butler in the buff.
Oh, JP.
And there's an allusion to the fact that he is in Whistler and that he entertains at bachelorette parties. And Jasmine says, I don't know if it was sarcastically or not, but like, oh, there must be a lot of that in Whistler.
So like the only thing I think is like,
Whistler a party town?
is it like Vegas? Is it the Vegas of Canada?
But he is wearing an apron and carrying a silver tray. and a little bow tie and nothing else. So his whole butt is
His
out.
whole asshole is just like visible to the camera. It's a crazy thing about Canadian TV. They don't blur anything, so you can see up him.
No, they blur.
No, they don't. You can see up him like a periscope.
He meets Jasmine, has a good interaction, but then goes inside, and the guys are sad, like understandably not excited about this.
So the boys were sad. Oh, that man's butt is out. No.
Wale throws a little shade and calls him No Pack Shakur because he is not as
He's
muscular.
Fit. Well,
Yeah, I know, he's
kinda
fit.
mean.
And that's it. Those are all the guys. Those are the exits. We are ready to go on the show. At this point, Jasmine does the standard toast and says that her husband is in this room.
Hiding somewhere. And
You know-
you have to find and kill him before you can try to court me.
I would say if I were to make a drinking game for this show, for me, I just found myself looking for the moments where they would say kind of the characteristic bachelorette thing.
Sure.
So I would say if I were to make a drinking game that you would drink anytime they do something that's consistent with the franchise.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, there were not that many things different with
No.
Bachelorette Canada than Bachelor. So that's a bad drinking game in that, like,
Well,
you're
I
just
think
going to be slamming and chugging.
Once they
and
go
constantly.
on the dates, we might see a little more difference.
That's true.
Opening night kind of has to go a certain way.
I would say that the shows were so similar, like, that the things that did break off were, like, even weirder.
Yeah.
So we get the first, like, a boy swoops in, like, as soon as the toast is done.
Drew, our
and it's
VP of
Drew.
medical sales, pulls her away first.
And just keeps talking about how, like, yeah, it was a good move, and I'm the only one with the balls to do it. Okay, Drew, fuck off.
And I don't know, she meets a bunch of the guys. She talks to Thomas, who is like, actually, I'm an international fashion model.
She says, oh, you're Canadian-only fashion model, huh? What do you...
And they talk about travel together. And then she tells us about how excited she is about the appearance of Thomas, how he's got this long hair and these great lips. And
He does this thing with his tongue.
He brings his tongue out a lot.
Is that a good, can I, like...
It doesn't do it. Well, you're also kind of, no, that's not how he did
I've got a
it.
dumb fat tongue.
No, there's nothing wrong with your tongue. It's what you're doing with your mouth right now.
Licking it like a cow.
Yes. He would do kind of a more subtle lip lick. And she called him sexual tongue.
If I were to come up with a nickname with him right now, I would call him Sexual Tongue. Okay, Jasmine. So, in the writing industry, that's what we call a shitty first draft. But it's a good foundation to start out with. Sexual Tongue. Just sort of take that, and I know you're busy, but if you could try to refine
It
that.
sounds a little like a Mad Lib kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, give me a noun.
Give me an adjective and a body part. You can do better than that, Jasmine. Let's see if we can't revise that in episode 2.
And then we get a real power play. David, who we know is the musician, but we haven't seen him do music yet, gets on his guitar and sings a song and has like a little string trio behind him.
Yeah, that sneaks in behind her. And, I actually saw a producer's hand appear in frame telling Jasmine to look behind her because she didn't react to the string quartet, like, at all.
Yeah, she was real into David at this moment.
And so they play this song, and as soon as the song is over, David stands up, and because all the boys are, like, congregated outside the room where it was happening, and David must have known they were there, and David stands up and says, top that. At which we later find out Jasmine did not enjoy that.
No, she did not appreciate. She called him on it, which justifiably so.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Kind of ruined the moment. She was so digging it. She was like ready to make out with him, and then he did that. She
That's
was
also
like,
big.
"Oh."
That's a cool thing for Jasmine to do, to like call somebody out like that in
Yeah.
episode 1 and not let him get away with it.
No, it was nice.
She also thwarted a steal away attempt, which was
I don't think I noticed that.
yeah. That was when are we going to talk about Drunk Cowboy?
We are almost. I
right.
have like
We'll
one more
we'll get to
thing.
Drunk Cowboy, but she did some stuff this episode that was like pretty badass for a bachelorette to do.
Yeah, well, like things that you would think a real person would do.
Yeah, and yeah.
So then she talks to Kevin. Kevin is the one that is sick, and he admits that he has been sick to her. And she just thinks it's a great sign of his commitment that he's sticking it out even though he has been sick.
Yeah.
So they go on to have a conversation, and she's just really impressed that he is so sick and hanging out. Which,
That would not be my reaction.
yeah, my reaction would probably be like,
Go home, dog.
yeah,
Go get some fluids.
go rest on that couch over there.
Go drink some Canadian Gatorade.
And then she talks a little bit about her Explorer tattoo, which I heard some of this story she got for
She
free.
went to a taco shop, and it was like Tattoo Tuesday at the taco shop. And if you buy a taco, you can get a tattoo.
I don't know if you're making a joke or not because I missed the
No,
explanation.
I'm pretty sure that's what she said. I might be
I just
100%
heard
wrong.
I just
about it.
heard that that she got the tattoo for free and that it was pretty good quality considering that she did not pay for it.
Yeah.
And then this is when we see the clips of the cowboy being drunk.
Drunk cowboy. This was our drunk boy for the episode, and he just drank a lot. And his big like moment was JP, the naked stripper man, who at this point I think had clothed
He had
himself.
put on a suit. Yes,
Okay.
it's very cold.
But
you
his
can
asshole
see
was still hanging out through the suit. He had like a little porthole, a little courtesy window there for his butthole to like really.
you can see everybody's breath on camera.
It was cold as fuck up in
It was
here.
very cold when they were filming this.
So JP is talking to the Bachelorette. I don't know about what. They didn't show that part. And drunk cowboy like walks out.
You could also see the breath from his butthole.
yeah,
too,
and
in
his
this
butt
scene.
breath, which
It
is
was-
weird. JP, why are you breathing
Yeah.
like that?
Well, I mean, that must be why he has that occupation, so he can keep the butt open.
I see. He doesn't want to suffocate his lungs.
Okay. Anyway, sorry I brought that up.
So JP's having a convo, and drunk cowboy, what's his name?
Tony.
Tony rolls up, and like there's been a sequence showing him like just pounding.
Yeah.
And so he walks up and tries to steal away. He says, "Hey, it's my time. You're stealing my time." And JP's like, "No, I'm not going to stand up. You're going to have to."
Yeah, I'm not finished yet.
I'm not finished yet. You're going to have to pick me up and move me. And Tony says, "I could," which is like, "Oh, okay, Tony. All right, Tony." And Tony puts like his hand on JP's back, very gently, but the music like did like a boom, like a menacing. And Jasmine says like, "No, we're gonna finish talking. Like he just sat down, but try again later."
Yeah.
And Tony just walks away. He's like, just the vibe wasn't
And
right.
that was all we
That was
got out of
literally
Tony.
it.
That was the biggest moment. Tony did not throw a fit after that.
No.
He did not get in a fight.
I think he's embarrassed. That's got to be embarrassing, right? Like if you're going to be
Yeah.
a jag,
Yeah.
and then you can't even successfully jag.
And this is when we start to see the sparks between Mike and Jasmine.
Oh, these sparks. They had a great limo exit too. And at the limo exit, we were like, "Oh, this is it. This
I
is it."
know. Griffin and I, our little hairs went up. We were just like, there it is. That's the
it.
guy.
So, Mike's mom had passed away when he was young, and Jasmine's father passed away when she was young, and so they talked a lot about that.
They kind of have a similar outlook on life. They talked a little bit about their families. Like they got into like real personal stuff.
He is from Winnipeg, which is very close to Kenora. He said he spent all of his summers in Kenora, so you got like the geolocational thing going there. Just, a lot of stuff to talk about there.
Yeah.
And they just seemed to like really, really get along, and they were actually genuinely very cute together.
They were very cute.
And so, are we at first impression rose time?
We are. Noah comes out with the little platter with the rose on it.
This is the first time we mentioned Noah. Noah is the Chris Harrison of this.
Noah is the host.
He's fine.
We'll see if we fall in love with Noah.
Always there's judgment. So one episode's not a lot of time, and he didn't get it. He did the basic stuff.
I know. Well, we'll see if he has the opportunity to kind of sit down and talk more with Jasmine, because that's when we really fell in love with Chris Harrison, is those interactions, those one-on-ones.
It's true.
I noticed the roses are a lot bigger in Canada.
These roses, guys, are fucking enormous.
They are the biggest roses I've ever seen on a lapel.
I think it's just because they were in bloom. They weren't just like little tightly wrapped rosebuds.
They had
but they put
opened,
it, and it
and
looked
they
like
were-
a fucking clown's lapel pin. Like, it looked crazy on these guys.
Typically, they use like a small magnet to keep it on. They must use like a big refrigerator magnet to keep this guy on a coat.
Yeah, or a fucking chip clip. I think it would look normal on the 9 foot tall
On Kevin.
kaiju man.
Yeah. Kevin actually, well, there's two Kevins, I should say. There's tall Kevin, and then there's Kevin that looks like a hockey player and is in fact a hockey player.
Also, there at this point, we get the inkling of a beginning of a beef between douche businessman,
Yes.
whose name I'm not going to bother to learn, and Chris, the inventor. And it's literally the origin of this.
Drew is the
origin of this is
businessman.
Drew just saying like, something about that Chris I don't like.
Yeah.
And then based on like the season preview, like that flourishes into something bigger. And it's like, it was literally based on like, there's something about that Chris I don't quite trust. There's something just off about him. All right, dog. I mean, he did bring an improvised explosive device as like his limo exit. So like in that sense, maybe he's here for the wrong reasons, which is to say, to use bombs on the house and the people inside of it.
Yeah, Drew is the villain from what we can tell.
It's one of the more transparent, like, I'm just here to be a shitheel, everybody. Is that cool with you?
Yeah. And so Kevin, the smaller Kevin, Lil Kevin,
Lil Kev.
asked Jasmine to find somebody, and then Jasmine, I believe it's Jasmine.
And we get a lot of shots of David being like, oh no.
David was super confident. He's like, yeah. And then she gives out the first impression rose, which goes to our boy Miss. This first step is all business. It is like, we have a job to do here. We're meeting the guys. We're meeting the lady. They're getting the roses. We're moving on. We get you took a photo of Tony sitting at that rose ceremony.
Oh, Tony.
Just looking so drunk in his cowboy hat.
So fucking faded. Well, and also because like after the rose ceremony and when boys went home, we get a shot of outside and it's just straight up daylight. Like it's like 1 p.m. the next day. And it's like all these boys, when they get sent home or get a rose, they're just like, thank you. Please let us go to bed.
So who gets roses? Both Kevins get roses, Tall and Lil. VP of Sales.
The minor and major Kevins.
The VP of Sales, Drew, gets a rose. Thomas, the international model, gets a rose. Mikkel gets a rose. Kyle gets a rose. Is Kyle the tall one?
It's not important.
Well, I want to be accurate. Kyle is the tall one.
Who the fuck are the Kevins?
Who are the two Kevins?
Deckhand and Hockey Boy?
Hockey Boy is definitely a Kevin.
Yeah.
And Deckhand is. You're right.
Yeah.
So it's not major and minor Kevin.
Well, then we have to go with
Sea and land Kevin.
Kevin of the Sea. It's just Kevin and Kevin of the Sea.
That's better.
Shit.
Seth and Scott get roses, which we don't know anything about.
Don't know fucking anything. There was at least one boy that got a rose that she could have been like Jermichael. I'm like, what the fuck?
There's
only 20 of them. How did I not?
There's a series of guys we haven't seen. Andrew and Chris get roses. Chris is the inventor.
The bombsman.
Benoit gets a rose.
Exciting.
Wale gets a rose. JP, the
Buttman.
The Canada party boy, and David, the musician, gets a rose. She saves his rose for last just to make him sweat a little bit.
So we lose Canada's crush. Never going to find out what the
Never
fuck
gonna find out. We lose Cowboy Tony.
Yeah, sorry, Cowboy Tony.
Taylor, Dana, and Ross also go home.
Nope, don't know anything.
And we see their little exits, and it is definitely light out.
Yeah.
And then she toasts, and we find out they are already going to Jamaica.
Moving on a nice clip with this.
Yeah.
I think
we're taking the show on the road immediately.
So 20 boys, that means fewer episodes total, right? Like fewer boys to kick off fewer episodes.
Well, yeah, and she just eliminated 5 of them.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So that was Bachelorette Canada. I liked it. I want to watch more of it. If we can find a more reliable way to watch it. Like even if it was on iTunes and we had to pay for it, I would be fine with that. I just want like a reliable way for everybody to watch it.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of formally say I know that we have traditionally watched shows that are easily available, and that if we continue to watch this show, that will not be the case, and we do not want any listeners to
get left out in the lurch.
Yeah, and to compromise, maybe their moral or ethical perspective.
Yeah, I guess this is just a plea
In order to watch.
to the W network. Just like open up the fucking floodgates, okay?
Yeah, I noticed the Bachelorette Canada is a new series,
Right.
and their internet presence is very small right now.
Also, the way that they gate their content is the craziest thing ever because you go to press play on the thing.
And a very polite woman.
And a very polite woman says, "This content is not available in your area. Thank you," or something like that.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see if it turns out to be.
I would like to keep watching it.
I would like to do at least one more episode, especially because like this is the only episode where we're going to
Yeah,
be
we
together
didn't-
to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be really hard for us to pivot at this point while doing the TV show and recording at like 11 p.m. After shooting and stuff. It's going to be hectic. We're recording this one at 8 a.m. Before I go into the studio to shoot. So.
Yeah, we have our little mugs of coffee right now. It feels a real morning show.
It does. It's
nice.
Yeah, I'm also very exhausted. It's Friday, and we've been shooting all week, and I just want to fucking go get back in bed. But we gotta make that fucking content for the buddies.
For the buddies.
Let's call it. What do you say? A little bit.
Oh, and I wanted to thank, we had a listener, I believe her name was Michelle, that sent in little crocheted roses.
Oh, that
for
was very
us
sweet.
That are in our home right now.
That's really
I wanted to share
nice.
that with you. Yeah.
Was that in the P.O. box when I left? After I left?
It was, yes.
Cool. Thank you all for listening. We will let you know in the Facebook group what we end up doing for next week. Probably going to do episode 2 of Bachelorette Canada, just because I'm probably going to keep watching it on my own, even if we don't do the show
Yeah.
about it, because now I'm invested. Like we warned you, and it was good that we warned you because it turned out to be the case. Like, we don't know when these episodes are going to go up. Things are.
I mean, they're definitely going to be later in the week because this show doesn't air till Tuesday, which means the first time it would be online would be Wednesday.
And then it all depends on like what the shooting schedule is like, where and when we can find the episodes available.
But we are still going to try and get an episode up every week.
Yes, at the very least. So it's going to be crazy until October is when I get back into Austin.
Yeah, so just 2 more weeks.
A couple more weeks. Oh man, it's just a couple more weeks. Yeah, that's it. Anything else, baby?
No?
All right, well, until next time, I'm Griffin McElroy.
I'm Rachel McElroy.
When you're ready.
Spoiler alert.
She ends up with Soldier Boy.
Right reason,